few words.
Yes. First of all, welcome, and we really appreciate the relationship that we have continued with the families, and what you have continued with us over these past 2 months. It's been really a remarkable experience. Lots of lessons learned, and one of our biggest conversations that we have internally is we don't want social distancing to turn into emotional distancing. So everybody has taken a really a very intentional look at how do we continue to keep the relationships with the children the best we can, and it's been just absolutely incredible the support that the families have had. And again, I don't want to use those "this is weird times" or any of those cliches, but it has been really an opportunity to see what our families and our teachers and our children are made of. And what we have found is that we have real community that has been built at University City Children's Center, and we're so grateful for that. So thank you for being here this evening.
Thanks, Steve. I am going to go ahead and share my screen because we have some information here that I would like for everybody to be able to see. So if you'll give me just 1 second. And can I get a thumbs up from somebody if you can see that? You can see my screen. Thank you, Alicia. All right, so all of our families should have received a reunion after the COVID-19 handbook or guide that we've created. That guidebook was created from a lot of different organizations and groups. So it was based around information from the CDC, information from our St. Louis County Health Department, our St. Louis City Health Department, information from the state of Missouri, the governor's office, as well as our own federal government. So lots of different entities, both federally and local, have given us guidance and requirements and recommendations. So all of that came from those various entities. So what do our local authorities mandate us in order to return to do? Here are the big high-level changes that really affect UCCC. The biggest one is a smaller and static group size. So that means that there are no more than 10 preschoolers per classroom with the same 3 teachers all day long. So they don't float teachers, their teachers don't come in and provide breaks for one another. It's the same teachers throughout the day with the same group of 10 preschoolers. That is the same for our infants and toddlers, but it's 8. So 8 infants and toddlers, and then the same 3 teachers for them. It also mandates that there's personal protective equipment, both recommended and required. And in the St. Louis County, masks are required for all adults in our building effective May 26th when we return. They are not required for children, not in St. Louis County. So our children will not be required to wear masks, and we don't recommend that for the children at this time, based on some information that we've received from ECE, or early childhood specialist. Children wearing masks tend to touch their face more often if they're wearing the mask than if they don't wear the mask. Social distancing has to be put in place as best as possible in an early childhood setting. And there are very specific times and places when we can do social distancing. One is during mealtime, which comes into the next bullet point there as well, that family style dining will no longer occur during this time. Children will be spread out as much as possible across 2 to 3 different tables instead of all sitting together around one table as we have previously. As well as during nap time, since there's only 10 children or 8 children in each classroom now, children will be spread out during nap time, so they're 6 feet apart, head to toe. That allows for some social distancing. There are other practices which we will put on pause right now, such as community time, all on the circle time. The teachers have been practicing and working through different activities for children to do that will spread them out at different centers, and monitor throughout the day that there's no more than 2 to 3 children per center to allow some more social distancing throughout the day. Those are really the big local mandates that we are living under and changing. There are a few other things that UCCC will be doing differently. In order to make the 3 teachers per classroom, so more teachers and a smaller class size work, and having to wear a mask all day long, we are limiting our hours right now to 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We hope that we would be able to open up even more hours to our normal 7 to 6, but we need to limit our hours at this point just to make sure that we have enough teachers, that they don't overexert themselves having to wear masks all day long. That's going to be a lot of work. So we're working through to make sure they have plenty of breaks throughout the day and that schedule can work out for them. We also have to have a drive-through drop-off and pickup with staggered times for drop-off and pickup. No adults outside of our own staff are allowed in the building at this time. And that again is to allow that static group of individuals to avoid any cross-contamination that might occur. Again, adults will be wearing masks. I can't reiterate that enough because for children, that is going to be the biggest change. And we'll talk more about that in just a minute. We're also moving to an electronic sign in and out system. This allows us to do a non-contact sign in and out. It actually was being put in place prior to the pandemic. It was going to be rolled out in June. So we're still going to roll it out. It's great timing. But all of you will get information directly from Hannah on what's called Kinder Smart. If you haven't already, you'll receive information directly from her about how to download the app and have it all registered and ready to go on your first day. It's pretty user-friendly and intuitive, and we've been using it for some of our parents this week while we've had our essential workers in the center, so it's been working pretty well. Lastly, there'll be a lot of enhanced sanitation at the center. So while we have 3 teachers in each classroom throughout the day, 2 of those teachers will be charged with engaging with the children as usual. And that 3rd teacher is really going to be the head of sanitation during that time. So making sure that we're using the 3-step cleaning process to clean all surfaces, do a continual loop of washing hands, making sure that the children are staying farther apart if necessary, and that can happen. Helping to sanitize toys throughout the day, just those general enhanced cleaning. We'll have 1 dedicated person in each classroom to help do those things. I'm going to turn it over to Jessica now, and I hope I can get back, or you can unmute yourself.
I can unmute myself.
Great. She's going to talk about how we're supporting the emotional social needs throughout this time, because that's very important as well.
Yeah, so there's really a lot here, but I'm going to try to make it sort of quick and easy for everybody. So just to think about the teachers to start, because our teachers have to be ready to support the children when they walk in the door. So I just want to talk a little bit about what teachers have been doing, and then we'll talk a little bit about what they're going to be doing to support children and families. So for our teachers, over the last several weeks, they've been engaging in a lot of different professional development, both on their own and with us, and through Loom, to really help get themselves ready to come back. We've had this whole week for the teachers to be in the classroom together to begin rebuilding their own relationships with each other and kind of getting their dance back in the classroom, so that again they're kind of ready when children walk in the door. And Laura kind of talked a little bit about kind of the overstaffing, the fact that we're going to have 3 teachers in the classroom. And part of the reason for that too is to also support teachers in just moving into this period of difference for them. So, and they're having to relearn how to kind of be in the classroom and how to support children differently. And we know everybody's going to come back with kind of different emotions and ways of engaging. So teachers are, we are trying to really make sure that our teachers are able to take breaks as they need them so that they don't get fatigued, and that they're able to really be there to emotionally support the children when they walk through that door. So in terms of really being ready for children, all of our teachers, as I said, have been working in the classroom this week. So they're really looking at setting up those classrooms to welcome children back. Even though the classrooms are going to look a little bit different, a lot of things will still be the same. You know, it's really important for children to have cubbies with, you know, labels and pictures on it, so they know where their stuff is. That creates that sense of belonging for them. That helps them have ownership in the classroom. We've asked teachers to make sure that they get new family pictures from families when they come back. Because even during this time, you know, children may be seeing some people that they are going to really want to see when they're at school. So having those family pictures, having pictures of those people who have been important to them over the last several weeks. And then our teachers are going to be obviously there to welcome children back with open arms. So we know that this was a break in relationship for children. We understand that when this all happened and children just had to abruptly leave the center, and teachers had to just abruptly leave the center, that created a little bit of a break in a relationship. And so our teachers understand that part of what they're going to be doing when children walk back in the door is really re-establishing those relationships with children. And that takes time, and it takes them to meet children where they are. So our teachers are going to be spending a lot of time sitting with children, answering their questions, listening to them, just hearing where they are and what they've been doing for the last several weeks. And finally, just thinking about kind of really preparing children to come back. You know, we've been talking a lot about curriculum and how to support children when they come in. And so teachers have been really thinking about what are some of the things that we're going to provide for children. So a lot of it is going to be following the children's lead. So, you know, are they ready to kind of talk about what they've been doing for the last weeks, or do they really just want to get back into building the community and getting back to knowing all the children in the classroom, and how did the teachers support those relationships between children? Also creating that consistent routine. So, you know, part of what helps support children to feel safe is to have a predictable, consistent routine. So welcoming children back with that consistent routine and following the child's interest. And finally, lots of our teachers have been really preparing children and families to come back into the building and with what to expect. So a number of our teachers have created some wonderful videos about masks to help support children when they walk in the door and to understand. A lot of our teachers are just setting up kind of individual or small group Zooms with families, and they'll be talking with children on those Zooms about wearing the masks, and giving children the opportunity to see them wearing the masks before they actually come into the building and see them. We've also done some videos about the pickup and drop-off process to really help support families in talking with their children about that piece. So there's lots of opportunities to support children and families that way. One of the things that I just want to share, because I think it was really great it's been great being back in the building. And so today, as I was kind of walking through and talking to some of the teachers who were working on setting up their classrooms, I happened to be next door to one of the classrooms that has some of our essential worker children in it. And it was beautiful because I could hear laughter, and I could hear, you know, running and giggling and all this wonderful things. And the teacher who was over there kind of popped her head in and was like telling us what was going on. And they had created this game where the teachers were hiding objects and the children were running around the classroom trying to find them. So this was just a perfect example for me of both the return to normalcy, because they're still children, they're still giggling, they're still having a great time. And also that the teachers were really just following their lead. That was a game that the kids created, that they wanted to play, that they needed to play in that moment. And it created a wonderful opportunity for joy for them. So.
All right. So we're at the point now where we're happy to start answering any questions that any of you all may have. I'm going to ask Tamika if she has, I'm trying to unmute you. There you go. Please go ahead and chat those questions and we'll try to answer some of them as they come up. I just want to make sure that our guide that we have sent is ever changing and ever developing as everyone, the experts included, learn more about this virus and about how to keep everybody safe and healthy. So we will continue to update that guide and make amendments to that guide as the experts who are dictating and directing us through this process. We may not have the answers for you tonight of questions you ask, but we are dedicated to getting the best possible answer and making sure that we keep everybody as safe and healthy and happy as we possibly can in our return to the center. What have we got, Tamika?
All right, we have a comment. And the comment is from Steve, just really asking us to take into consideration that this is really like the first day of school again for children. It is a reunion process, and during the curbside transition, it will be different. Please do have confidence and trust in the process. We have another question. How long will, well, I'll answer that question later, about a spot in this classroom be held. So Sarah, I will connect with you on that one.
Yeah, that's a great question that a lot of folks are wondering. If I'm not returning yet, is my spot held? And at the moment, yes. We don't know what the future holds at this point, so I can't answer that indefinitely. But before we have to move further as to determining how long we can hold spots for those who haven't returned yet, we will absolutely inform our parents before we have to make that decision. Right now, we're kind of dictated to how many children we can have in the building. And we are one of the first centers reopening. So we're really working week by week at this point to make sure that we're doing the best at this time and in this moment. So we will absolutely answer those questions. I know a lot of people have that question. And we will make sure that before we have to make any of those decisions, we will let all of our families know.
When do you envision going back to full-time or having more than 10 children in the classroom?
That is purely dictated by the St. Louis County. Their directives right now is what mandates our numbers. So one of the things that they're looking at is in the next 2 weeks, if there is a spike in cases in St. Louis after reopening. So after the 2-week time frame since May 15th, they'll be able to say the reopening process and the phase-in is working. We can release our requirements and regulations, or the cases and numbers spike, and then they have to rein those numbers back in. Only time will tell what happens, and if we all do our best and follow the regulations that are put forth by the St. Louis County government, we should see a flat line and be able to get back to more students sooner.
Thank you. What does play look like on the playground now?
Yeah, Jessica, you want to talk about that one?
Sure. So it's the same as within the classroom. So only one group of children will go out on the playground at a time. And we will be sanitizing the playground in between each group of children. So as of right now, our playground schedule is that each classroom will have still at least 2 opportunities to be outside throughout the day. They just will be slightly shorter times. Usually on the preschool side, they have about an hour in the morning and another hour in the afternoon. And it'll be more like 30 to 45 minutes for each of those time slots.
And I did get the opportunity to test our sanitizing spray today as the preschoolers were walking back into the room, and they all think I'm a really cool Ghostbuster now. It's a nice little chemical sprayer from Home Depot. They thought it was pretty cool to watch from the window.
Can you give more detail about the drop-off procedure?
Yes.
How the staggered times for each family?
Yes, so we are working now. So families who are returning on the 26th will get a Sign Up Genius link tomorrow, where they will be able to sign up for a 10-minute window in which to drop off or pick up their children. And then we have a system that you can actually see on a video starring some of our lovely teachers and one of our children, showing the exact process of how you pull up to the right-hand side. We'll take all of your the vitals, the electronic scan in, scan out, ask you those required questions, and then escort your child inside. And there'll be signs and directions the entire time on the first few days, so everybody gets used to it. But essentially, after you've dropped your child off at the farthest spot, you pull back to the gate at the very end of the parking lot. We'll have a turnaround spot, so you don't have to do any 3-point turns or anything fancy. And you turn around and you leave exiting to the right on Vernon, so we can eliminate any traffic jams that way as well. But we do have a video up on YouTube, and there will actually be 2 videos up on YouTube by tomorrow. So please watch those, because it gives a great idea of what to look out for, and watch it with your children too, so they know and can understand what's going to be happening that day too.
All right. Are teacher breaks taking place outside of the classroom? And if so, is there a space the teachers take their breaks that does not violate the static groups?
Yes, so we have set up we have 2 break rooms right now, as well as our emptied gallery. So all teachers can stay 6 feet apart during that time when they take their breaks. They're also not allowed to leave the facility and go somewhere else where other people are. So if they choose to go to their car, sit in their car or go through a drive-through, that is fine. But they can't actually go home if there are their own children or own adults at home, or go to a store or anything like that. So essentially once they're there, they are there and remain static. And then they have to do the social distancing and keep their mask on if they're around other adults.
Jessica, what kind of activities are planned for the classrooms?
Lots. No, so every classroom that I've kind of talked to has lots of different ideas for what they're going to do for activities. And the way that a lot of teachers are thinking about this right now is they've kind of got sort of a, grab bag of activities that they're thinking about for the first couple weeks that they're able to kind of follow the children's lead on. So, for example, the teachers were talking a lot about different small group activities they can do. So they're going to do a lot of more small group activities. So, puzzles and creating books and drawing and lots of things like that. So lots of small group activities, lots of activities that talking about how children are getting to know each other again and things like that. And lots of things just following the children's lead. So one of the things that we talked a lot about was, as children have this time at home, they had a lot of time to really probably kind of follow their own interests and really do a lot of things that they were interested in. And so really kind of getting with families up front to say, hey, what was your child really interested in, so that we can have some of those activities available or similar activities available as well.
Great. What is the process if kids get viral symptoms, runny nose, fever, etc.? What is the threshold for staying home, and what would be the duration?
Yeah, so we really do have a much higher threshold for staying home. Unfortunately, we have to be more careful now than ever before. So obviously, if your child has a fever, and we do ask you to monitor your children at home first, so we don't have to make that decision for you at the school. So check your child's temperature before you come to school, but you know your child best. If they're acting fatigued or have unusual behavior, unusual crankiness, you need to have your child stay home and let us know that that's why. It has been directed to us that if a child goes home or stays home sick, they can come back with a doctor's note. So a lot of times cranky babies is due to an ear infection, but we just need you to go to your doctor and have them verify that it's an ear infection, and then they can return to the center after that. So this is a higher threshold. I understand it's not easy to go to a doctor right now, but sometimes a telehealth visit is all it requires for a sinus infection, pink eye, ear infections. A lot of those things can just be solved through a telehealth visit, but that helps us allow any potential for risk or exposure for anybody else in the center. I hope that answers the question. Uh-oh, did we freeze?
Yeah.
Okay.
How many children do you expect to return on the 26th?
Oh, Tamika, you can answer that question.
I could, but my screen is occupied.
We have 7 classrooms that will be open. That comes to about 30 preschoolers and I think 12 infant toddlers. So we're just under 50 for the 26th, and we're still verifying a few more that may be able to start on the 26th as well. We are not quite at capacity, but we are getting there.
Will families have a report on what children will be eating, since meals won't be prepared at the daycare?
Absolutely, yes, that is a big change. It is better for worse right now to use pre-prepared single serving meals. And we have been very fortunate to partner with University City School Districts who are providing the food also at no cost to us, which is phenomenal, especially in this time when saving every penny is pretty important. So that food, yes, you will receive a report every day of what your child has eaten for breakfast, snack, and lunch. It is pretty fantastic. Chef Terry over there can tell you it is pretty phenomenal. The kids today had turkey sandwiches, roasted broccoli, and strawberries. And I tell you, those strawberries were big and juicy and delicious because I had some as well. So, you know, we will continue to supplement the food, but it is great that we are able to get the bulk of our meals, the milk, the proteins, and a lot of the fruits and vegetables from U City School District. And then Terry made a delicious salad from our greens from the garden. We had the carrots and the beets or the radishes that the kids started to grow before we left for our snacks. So we are continuing with our garden, and we'll serve what we get from there as well.
So for those who won't be returning right away but are still utilizing the Zoom classes and the YouTube videos, have you considered a weekly fee that we can chip in for that?
I have not. That's fantastic. It's a wonderful suggestion. And we will write that one down and take it back to the group. That's wonderful.
How long will you have to schedule the exact drop-off times?
I think that is up in the air at this point. Until we actually do it and it's behind us for a week or so, we will have to see how quickly we can get at it. I think it's going to require a lot of patience the first week. Mondays and Tuesdays are always going to be hard for children. It's going to be different for kids for quite a while. Not being able to say goodbye in the building, not seeing their teachers is going to be very, very hard. So we just we'll have to take that day by day and figure out moving forward if we can change up the times. We are flexible. So if you are running late, we're not going to say you can't come. And if you're running early, just give us a call and we'll come grab you.
All right. And so I noticed that you intend to notify all parents about every child that gets sick. Why is this necessary?
Over precaution. I think it is important just that everybody understands we have just a very small group of individuals in our building at a time. We will notify those in classrooms in particular of the exact course of if it is a fever, if it is a runny nose, if it is an allergy, that sort of thing. But overall, I think it's just we want to over communicate for individuals because there are a lot of people who are going home to immune compromised or to elderly or to anybody at all. And I think right now more information is better, but we will of course maintain HIPAA rules and regulations and just consider you know, we don't want to stigmatize anybody at all, but we also want everybody to remain as safe and healthy as possible.
All right. And another question about support. So what can we as parents do to support teachers and staff?
Oh man, I have some teachers on here. Are there any teachers that want to answer that question? I see Terry and Christine here. I'm going to actually unmute you and make you talk.
I'll talk first and then we'll let them
Okay.
talk while they gather their thoughts. The one thing that I was thinking about, because obviously communication is going to be very different for those who are attending right now, since there's not the normal pickup and drop off communication. So finding whatever ways you feel most comfortable with to communicate with teachers, because I know that the teachers really want to make sure that they have that relationship with families. So making sure that you're upfront with families about like, I want a text message, I want an email, I want a phone call, I want whatever, to just really help our teachers know how to communicate with you.
I second that. I think communication is key, but I think being patient with us as we try to figure out what this looks like in our classrooms with your children as an organization, I think is really important, because we're figuring it out and going through with it, through everything with you guys at the same time.
Great, and I also want to share a couple other opportunities. We do have that YouTube page that we'd love to have all of our parents subscribe to, not just watch. Connect with our Facebook page. This is a really big year for PCC. We're still celebrating 50 years, and we are getting ready to do our very first virtual event. So we'd love for you to share some contacts with us that we can invite to that party. Any more teachers? Nope. Laura, how will the school capacity change over time?
The school capacity will change based on the St. Louis County directives. So right now our numbers are set by the St. Louis County. Again, if we see a spike in the number of cases in the county, our numbers could decrease. And if we remain flatlined in the county at the numbers or decrease in the numbers, we will see a gradual increase in our capacity at that point. So only time will tell what our numbers will look like and when they'll be released. Essentially every 2 to 3 weeks is when they recap and figure out if they can release the hold on some of those regulations or tighten them back up.
All right. I don't have any more questions, but it looks like our ED has some wonderful comments that he'd like to.
Fabulous.
There's another question on there.
No,
Oh, one more question, Hannah
Yeah.
said. Go for it, Hannah.
When more children are coming back to the daycare, would you try to reassemble the original classrooms so children that were used to be together will be reunited?
I'm sorry,
Yes.
I answered him directly with a yes.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
great.
yep, and currently that is our Horizon students are returning to Horizons, Supernovas to Supernovas, and pods are staying together. So they are familiar with those children. They see them currently in the mornings and in the afternoons already. So they will see the same kids. So Big Dippers and Shooting Stars are together right now, since there's only 7 of them coming back right now. All of our Starbursting Comets, who would normally be together in the morning and the afternoons, are together. And all of those same teachers are with them as well. So the kids will be in their same classrooms with their same teachers starting on the 26th. All right, Steve, now you can talk, Steve.
Thanks. Now, okay.
There we go.
You know, and and I'm assuming we're coming to a closure, but I really want to acknowledge, as you're listening to this and you read through the document. I mean, can you believe the amount of detail that the UCCC program team have gone through to make that real? To sit here and answer the questions with such clarity and supreme capabilities. It has been really an enormously satisfying process in this incredibly horrible time to see that how they are, you know, providing all the details and around the logistics of this, all the while holding the souls of your children and you and the teachers in this process. If we were in a stadium, I would say let's give them a standing applause, because they have been really, really remarkable in this process. And so kudos to you. I appreciate that. And we are all looking at how to navigate this, as it doesn't take much to do the math. If we are typically at a school of 150 to 160 children and we're going down to a school of 80, that's not the best financial model in the world. So, you know, our board and our finance folks are really working diligently to kind of navigate that, but that is also part of the process. Without all of these people thinking and rowing in the same direction, we would not be doing what we're doing right now. So I kudos to the program team for all the great work that they've done. And I mentioned something about trusting the process. They have worked really hard to really burrow down and helping understand how every child is going to be held as they come back. So just an amazing group of people. Thank you so much to the program team and parents. Thank you so much for your confidence in what UCCC is doing for children and families and for being a model in the community. So I just, I just want to cry. It's such a wonderful experience. So thank you.
Well, thank you. We'll hang around for a few more minutes. If you think of additional questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I will unmute. Remember, if you have child-specific or family-specific questions, if you want to send those directly to Tamika, myself, or Jessica, we'd be happy to get back with you individually either tonight or tomorrow. But I just want to thank you all so much for joining us tonight and for all of your support and patience with us as we navigate this new process. I can't imagine doing it with a better group of families than we have here at UCCC. So we definitely feel the love and support from you all, and we thank you. And we are ready to see more of you in person.
Read a couple of the responses that parents have sent in. Amazing and incredible work. We're very appreciative of UCCC's leadership in making the way through this horrendous situation, and agree, very thoughtful and thorough. UCCC teachers are, all caps, amazing. Thank you.
Yes, they are. All right, I'm going to stop recording, but feel free to